every morning at 7 o'clock. She looks
There's
fine.
Andy.
That's very true. I know. She doesn't.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Morning.
Thank you for an
Morning,
excellent job again this morning.
Thank you guys. How's everybody doing?
Good. Your singing is getting better.
Maybe I just need it so that no one else sings with me, so I'm on my own key.
Yeah,
That's
you're,
very
you're
true.
doing great.
Doing a great job.
If you're like me, you pick one note and you stay with it.
Well, at least you're not tone deaf like me. You don't want to hear me sing.
How's the baby?
Good.
Keeping you up at night?
Yeah.
That's good.
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's what happens. They don't stop.
Mm.
Oh, he's a hungry bunny. That's good.
Yeah, he's growing. He's doing really, really well.
Great.
It's just being stuck with a toddler
Mm-hmm.
during this. It's like, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They have no idea. Their
we-
world's been disrupted. Their fun world.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I don't know. So, okay. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
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 How's everybody doing today?
Very well.
Well,
Good. Does everyone have a plan for today? I think that's kind of important to have like a plan.
I've been going through old pictures and trying to take pictures of those pictures and sending them to people to try to let them see what the past looked like, how they grew up, how we had a fun time someplace.
Well,
So it's been refreshing to me too.
that's a thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Copying old VHS tapes, so to DVD.
Do stuff like that.
digital.
Michael, Michael Muterick, don't you do stuff like that?
Yes, you do.
We scan all pictures and transfer all videotapes.
Yeah. And it's like a thing you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Okay, so I thought we might take a look at some ideas from this week's Parsha. Let me figure out how to share my screen, right? Because that's what I'm doing, right? Ba-ba-doo. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep. I think. Yep.
Generous heart.
Robert says some of the students live in rural areas with limited internet access. Others might be overseas in different time zones. Her plan is to offer the minimal amount of
What's going on?
for the students to learn what they absolutely.
There we go.
Okay, so everyone can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I thought we would look at a verse or two from this week's Parsha and see what's going on here. So does anyone want to read Exodus 35:5? The context is we're building the Mishkan. We are putting together the tabernacle that will eventually be God's dwelling place on the planet. Does anyone want to read? Just this part.
I'll give it
I'll
a
read
stab. Go ahead.
Michelle, go.
take from among you gifts as the Lord. Everyone whose heart so moves him shall bring them gifts for the Lord, gold, silver, and copper.
And the next few verses continue to outline other fancy schmancy things that people can give. The question is, if you're doing a capital campaign to build a new addition to the synagogue, let's say, do you write anyone whose heart so moves them? What does this say? So, what is this saying about the nature of this gift to God, or this? There are two ways. Let me finish. there are different ways you can go about getting resources from a population in order to build infrastructure for the community. What's the way the government does it?
Taxes.
Taxes.
Taxes. The government takes money away from us, or sort of says that a percentage of your income is going back to the betterment of society, right?
Correct.
Right. So is that what's going on here?
No, this is voluntary.
This is utterly voluntary. This is more than voluntary. There is almost an expectation of it not necessarily happening, right? It's if you are Nadiv Lev is the Hebrew. Nadiv Lev is the phrase here. I will highlight it for you so you can see it. Nadiv Lev literally means generous of heart. So if you're generous of heart, then you give these precious things for the building of God's temple. Now, I mean, I don't know what everyone's assumption about human nature is, but I'm not so sure that we would get to a situation necessarily without a little bit of nudging that's more than if you want to do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone ever run a capital campaign for anything?
Not me.
Not Kathy.
Not Kathy. Kathy is one of our co-chairs for our Hineni, which is going well. But thinking about that, how's that working? You know, it's how long has Hineni been going on? 12 years?
I think 10, but what's 2 years between friends?
Right.
I was still in college when it started, so
The Salvins and I were still at Har Zion when it started.
That's true. Yeah.
No, like 10 years
Well,
ago, we were
We
in
were still
Houston.
in Houston,
We were in
Oh,
Houston.
okay.
but close enough.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, right? So Rashi goes on to say, because his heart prompts one to generosity, he is called Nadiv Lev, one who has prompted the generosity of the heart, blah, 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 blah. So essentially, this is donations. What are the things that we normally donate?
Money,
And
So-
time.
food,
Money, time.
food.
I'm thinking more like physical items, right? Like when we donate money, we might give a check. Very few people drop off a wad of cash.
Mhm.
Food.
Food, okay, you could donate food. I was thinking more like used items is what we donate. So like,
Clothing.
everyone ever go to Goodwill?
Clothing.
Oh, this shirt doesn't have such a big stain on it. I'm gonna give you that, right? Or this toy still has some life in it. Let me pass it on to the next person. We're not necessarily giving our choicest, newest, nicest thing. Whoever said, oh, I have the gold ring, I think I'm going to donate it to the synagogue.
Mhm.
So that's what's happening here. It's a little bit. What's the English? Out of the ordinary. Yotzei min haklal, out of the ordinary for what we're doing here. What you would assume people are normally doing. So would normally do. So then what ends up happening is if you go later into the chapter, later into the story, in the next chapter, in the interim, Moses appoints artisans and skilled craft makers, I don't know. Craftsmen.
Politically corrected.
Last night was a long night. I apologize. To sort of do the actual building, and they take a census of all the materials that everyone has already donated, and then this line happens, and they go to Moses and say, the people are bringing more than what is needed for the tasks entailed in the work that the Lord has commanded, which is to say,
More than enough.
we have too much stuff.
Too much.
It's not, we don't, if someone gave too much money to a capital campaign, we put it into an endowment, right?
Right.
But as our finance people know,
It should only
Alavai, right? Alavai, we should have this problem
Right.
to do this sort of thing. And so the question then is, right, like, what is Moses to do? So Moses gets up there and says, stop bringing things. Now, why do I bring this sort of odd story up that seems almost counterintuitive to human nature? Well, first of all, we are in the middle of the end of our capital campaign. Am I right, Kathy?
Yep.
And
Wait, we got Bob here, our finance guy.
I know, it feels like the middle still, but we're going.
I mean,
We're going. Just keep going.
we're supposed to break ground whether we like it or not. The current situation, being it as it is, might sort of shift that a little bit, probably.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah.
But the goal is to get this done as soon as possible. And yet, I don't think we're at the point where we're saying, make no further gifts.
Right.
No.
Or, like, we have a surplus and when it comes to this. And
I don't think any 21st century synagogue would ever say that under any circumstances.
or really our nonprofit or organization, Frank.
Right.
Right, exactly.
It's a crazy situation to find ourselves in. Bob, I cut you off. What were you going to say? Sorry. Bob, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
But I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
So yeah, I think it's an interesting moment. And I guess like the question is what's different about this than any other sort of moment in Jewish history? What's different about this particular project that excited people in this way? I guess I'm sort of opening that up to you, right? What is different about building the Mishkan, building the tabernacle, than, I don't know, a courtyard?
Well, this was the first construction that was going to house, quote unquote, Adonai's presence.
So we're building a house for God, right? And everyone ever see the old Peter Pan musical? We're building a house for Wendy. Right? We're building a house for God,
Right.
and that's something that's exciting. Wow, God can actually live among us, right? The entire sort of series of parshiot of Torah portions leading up to this one that concern with building the Mishkan begin. The entire process, conversation begins with God saying, "Suli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham." Make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell amongst you. That's an incredible statement that God is willing to sort of say, okay, give me some real estate. Bless you, whoever just sneezed. Give me some real estate, and I will actually set up shop and live with you and be part of your community. Invite me in. And I think that sometimes in the modern world, we forget that when it comes to pretty much everything, and especially as modern Jews. We forget that when we daven, there's a divine element involved. Or at least, even if we don't forget it, we don't openly acknowledge it. It's sort of like the elephant in the room, that God's part of the conversation. And I think it's important for us that to get excited about that, for not to just be happenstance that forming a minyan is the place in which we do Dvarim Shebekadusha, that we do parts of the service that pertain to holiness or sanctity, but that really when we assemble a minyan of people, we're crafting a space for God to dwell, or for God to sort of live in the relationships and the tension and the love in between all of those people. So, for example, this morning, everyone here who was on the virtual minyan, we were creating a space for us to feel comfort and for us to feel connected and for us to feel God, whatever that is. And I think that that's something that we should get excited about. I'm not saying that we need to donate all of our valuables all the time to it, but I think that sort of offering up pieces of ourselves for that, and getting excited about creating that space is something that I think I'd like to see more of in the Jewish world, right? That the opportunity to bring a little bit of God and meaning into our life is something that's exciting. So that's sort of my bracha for all of us as we go into this very confusing time, as we continue to travel through this very confusing time period in our lives and sort of in the lives of the world, is that let's see if we can get excited to create those spaces and those in the ways that we can, and to bring a little bit of God, a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of more meaning into our life.
Yeah, Shakar, thank you for all you're doing for our community. I think it's really important that we really get to see everyone's face and we get to see our friends and be a part of this community.
Yeah, still haven't seen your punim. I would love to see your punim.
Yeah, well, guess what? I'll send you a picture.
I can hear your voice. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it just sounds great to hear everybody.
Yeah, Minion this morning was really special. It was
nice.
Yeah.
And your hands are extra clean, and the children's hands will be extra clean with all your songs.
Oh,
that was hysterical.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that was more genius things.
Absolutely great.
That was fabulous. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, love to Michelle, love to the boys.
Yep, same here.
Please, again, I know we keep saying it, be in touch if you guys have anything, or if you know of somebody who needs something. That's what we can do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Andy.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.